Welcome, 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 and welcome back to the Trifecta Factor. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's session. If not, please feel free to go back and watch the replay. Just put hashtag replay in any comments that you might have, really help me. So the Trifecta Factor, just to cover off quickly a recap of what we did yesterday, is three things. It's really about think it, change it, live it. And it's really about thinking deeply, feeling deeply, and acting boldly. That's what it's really about. And the first, there's three different pillars, right? Think, change, live. And it's really about, if you're thinking that you're an overthinker, and here I'm telling you to think, well, let me tell you this. It's because overthinking isn't really what you think overthinking is about. Kind of funny, isn't it? But overthinking is really about, let me see if I can see some comments here. If you're there, if you can make a comment, that would be great. I don't know how to see comments here. Example, Ballard, hide taker. Anyways, so overthinking is really about, it gives us the illusion that if we keep thinking about something that's ruminating over and over and over again, somehow the problem will resolve itself. But really what happens, it just makes the problem even worse. And what happens is you've got the synaptic connection for that problem. Like everything that we learn, think about, there's a synaptic connection. So it's, the mind is just, the brain is just a brilliant tool, honestly. And what happens is you're just strengthening that connection even more. And so that's one of the illusions. The other illusion is it feeds fear. Fear of rejection, fear of relationships, fear of the biz, some fear that you might have in your business, whatever it is. Fear is the ultimate driver in our life, right? We can use it to build excitement of something, or we can use it to hold us back, right? You've probably heard that too, is, just turn fear around, make it, well, sometimes it's a lot easier than it really is. But anyways, so what we did yesterday was uncover the negative and the positive thinking that we have, and what negative thinking does to our feeling, how we feel stress, anxiety, overwhelm. And when we think positive, that's where we can become creative and we feel joy, happiness, peace, and calm. Interesting thing is that once you get a handle on your negative thinking and your positive thinking and how you feel, you can make those 2 millimeter shifts. And if you're like me, where you, for a long time, I dissociated and detached myself from my feelings. So using the warrior method that I outlined for you yesterday, it's an acronym for getting you to really start thinking about what you're thinking and feeling. Because when you suppress, that's part of overthinking too, is you want to suppress that thinking and feeling because it doesn't feel comfortable. So we think that by doing that, it's going to help us. But it really only helps our mind race and run wild even more. So one of the tools that I believe is missing in the PD world, and mostly for people like myself, welcome. I see someone there. If you want to send me a comment here on stream, or I'm going to fire up my Facebook here so I can see if there's any comments, if you need any questions. Let me see. There I am. Oh. There it is. Yeah, I could see it. I can't see it, but that's okay. You can always send me a DM. So one of the things I found was missing from, having done all the, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, like a lot of people that may not have heard, Richard King, Chris Duncan, David Bayer, God, Odette Laurie. I've done so many. I've done Lisa Nichols too, storytelling. I've done a lot, but I found something was missing. And it's typically for us people who tend to spend days, weeks, months, years, maybe even decades. Hi there, I see a heart. Although I can't see comments. We suppress and avoid our thoughts and feelings. And that's what led me to keep burning out and the breakdowns that I experienced in my life and the mental health challenges. For me, it was really, I've uncovered recently from being on one of my friends' summit, is I've had this, I didn't want to, I guess I didn't want it public, or maybe I just wanted to suppress it. I've really had suicide ideation since I was 18. And up until about 10 years ago. And it's since 10 years. I mean, it was up and down, but it was really constant. But anyways, by using that warrior method, that's how I became aware of what I wanted to do 10 years ago, the plan that I was carrying out. So anyways, so pillar one is really to help you to design and pause your mind so that when it's racing or running wild, you can just observe without judgment and see what's actually going on. And you can link it to feelings, because you can't remove your thoughts, and they really work together. And later on, actually in my program, I go into more depth about beliefs and thoughts and feelings and actions that we take. But this is the first step that I believe is really missing in personal development, is really getting people to start thinking about their thinking, which is the power of metacognition, and then look at the feelings associated with it. So we really want to pinpoint, because you're either detached from your thoughts and feelings and you just keep going and going and going, or you're disassociated yourself, or maybe you distract yourself from the very thoughts and feelings need to change. And then, of course, that leads to lack of direction and focus. And that's what keeps you in that rumination cycle, that illusion of, if I just keep thinking about it. There are other tools, like I mentioned in my program, but I don't have the time right now to go into that. This is just to get you started, because the challenge is really that I'm giving you in the 3 days is just giving you a flavor of what I do, as well as some of the key pieces that I believe is missing in personal development, just to get that introduction, just to help you get that 2 millimeter shift. There are other tools as well, like you really need to uncover what those sabotage patterns are. Some people call it shadow work, right? Give it fancy names just to, for whatever. It's really just uncovering those sabotage patterns that you learned at an early age, that became a coping mechanism, way to handle pain. You got, the ego felt pain, and you had to figure out how to deal with that pain or that discomfort. So you added meaning to an experience that really is just an experience. And so that's what created your dysfunctional pattern or your sabotage pattern. And now it's buried deep in your subconscious. So I also teach you about 3 levels of consciousness, which I don't have time to go into today, but I do that in my program. So the first step is really uncovering your thinking and feeling. The next step is looking at those limiting patterns and actions that's deeply rooted in your psyche, and learn to turn down the volume of those sabotage patterns. So today is part of the Change It tool, and it really helps with change. Oh, before I go into that, let me quickly go over another tool just to sort of do a recap here that I gave you. This follows the Brockwell's 4 stages of learning. It was used with management, leadership, and I believe it was used in schools as well, so that people understand how they learn and what they learn. But I took it a step further, because I linked it to, do you ever remember when you were tying your shoelaces as a kid? For me, that was the most frustrating thing. First, I'm unconscious and incompetent because I really don't know what I don't know. I just know I'm sitting on a stool or a step, and my mom or caregivers put on my shoe and tying up my laces. So I'm just watching, right? Then I move into what we call conscious incompetent. You become aware of the laces, and you start looking at your model of the world and maybe picking up the laces yourself and taking that first step to figure out what to do with the laces, right? But you're still getting frustrated. And when you get frustrated and maybe have a temper tantrum like I did, you want to give up. And that's why people fall back into the unconscious incompetent. This is where a lot of pain and discomfort happens, is where you're conscious, aware of your limiting beliefs. You're trying different things, but you're still incompetent at overcoming it. And a lot of people give up at this stage. But you've got to move on to conscious competent, because with practice, you become more competent. You start stepping into the new model or the new identity or the new blueprint that you've created for yourself. It's kind of like, maybe you live in a townhouse that has a completely different blueprint. Want to move to a detached home with a double car garage. That's going to have a completely different blueprint, right? The 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 furniture that you have now may not fit in that, right? So you may have to, add a few more pieces, maybe like the furniture, but you realize you may have to add a few more pieces, or you're going to have to change it completely. I wouldn't say get rid of it, because maybe those pieces can go down in the basement now, right? And you just want to get something new. And then, of course, with practice, just like tying your shoes or driving a car, you become unconscious competent. So here is when you enter into this is where the magic happens. You're now aligned with your true self. Everything goes with a lot more ease and flow. You have mastery over your personal development, and you're really present and you're living it. This is actually you've been applying all the principles, the tools, and techniques that I have gone through my program. All right, let me go on to the next slide. Oh, we talked about metacognition. Sorry, it's one thing I don't like about this. Here we go. So today, I'm going to talk about the key to achieving the life you want really begins when you start using this one tool. And I mean, it's a tool that I use in all the practices and tools and techniques that I have in my coaching program. And it only takes 5 minutes a day. And it's really the power of imagination. So you learn ways to change your old identity model or the world into what we truly desire today. With metacognition, you get the power to rewrite the stories of your memories and lighten the load of the past. And that way you can remodel the identity through the power of imagination. So you've got the power of metacognition, and now you've got the power of imagination. And what it is, it's not really SMART goals, right? Because there's a problem with SMART goals, and this is what I came up with as well. It's SMART goals are limiting us to what is possible. I'm not saying don't use goals. By all means, have a goal, and what you want to achieve, X amount of dollars by the end of the year, maybe weight loss, X amount of pounds being, toned. Maybe you want to improve your relationship. By all means, have goals. But I used to use SMART goals in my facilitating in my programs for leadership, sales, when I was an employment coach as well, for giving people goals for their resume or interviews or whatever it was they needed. But I always had this angst and I wasn't sure. And then I realized because it was rigid, it was a little bit too narrow. I'm not saying don't be specific. It's important to be specific, but it's something that I teach you in my program. But to be rigid and narrow, it lacks flexibility and imagination. It really doesn't allow for us to entertain opportunities or imagine possibilities and to change habits. It really doesn't allow for that. It really edits your dreams and desires. It doesn't allow it to be fluid and dynamic, because we know that our path to our destiny, our path to the results, our desires, what we want, our dreams and hopes that we want in life is not a straight line. Goals are a straight line, so it's not fluid. And it keeps you tethered to old memories and identity. It doesn't account for what I mentioned yesterday, that the reason why we fall back to our old habits and patterns, we oscillate. And so that's why it's important to use imagination. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this slide for now because we're not going to go there just yet. And how I came upon this was through, I believe, all my mentors actually made me realize the power of imagination, how important this tool is. And I'm going to walk you through a 10-minute guided visualization in a moment. If you've ever read any of Michael Beckworth or seen any of his videos, he truly believes that the universe doesn't give you what you want. The universe gives you who you are. The universe gives you who you are. So if you're not being who you truly want to be and your authentic self, that's what you get more of. So it's really changing that blueprint, going from a townhouse blueprint to a detached two-car blueprint. That's what you need to do. And the changing the identity of who you are and who you want to be. And that's one of the processes that I start clients with off, and that's what I want you to do. And do this every day, by the way. It's called the perfect day visualization. We'll get to it in a moment. You start the process by changing your identity, and it really becomes raising your consciousness and become aware of what it is you truly want. If you've ever heard of the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, he's famous for uncovering how our self-image is so vital and part of everything that we do. He was a plastic surgeon, and he found that if he just told people that he was going to, let's say, I think it was knee surgery, he had two different groups. People that thought they had knee surgery and people that actually had knee surgery. And their self-image and what they did was totally different, or was the same, whether they had the surgery or not. It's kind of interesting. So he really believed that our self-image is a mental picture, right? Based on our past experiences, successes, failures, feelings, and behaviors. And that's what builds our personality. Most of the time, if we can let go of the negative past experiences that define us, because that's what truly is not in alignment with who we are. So if you remember yesterday as well, I got you to write down what you want to improve in and how that improvement area is going to make you feel. So that's what I'm going to give you today, is sort of that blueprint to start you looking at how your identity or self-image, and to start really laying that foundation and making changes. Now, afterwards, I want you to make sure you have pen and paper handy, because you're going to want to write down some notes about what came up for you. And then I'll also give you some further instructions. But before we do that, I want to walk you through an exercise that is really, really, really powerful. You may have done this before if you've attended. I don't know if Tony Robbins has done this. I think he did. Tony Robbins, I've watched some videos on, gosh, what's her name? She's a famous hypnotherapist, Marissa Peer. I believe she does this as well. So it's not copyright. It's like so many people have done it. But it's really how we imagine all the time, and the power of our imagination, and how we can train our minds and bodies to use imagination. Because really, when we think about it, imagination is really, we imagine things either through words or images. And it's the root of everything: our identity, our feelings, our actions. Dr. Maltz and other studies have shown and demonstrated that power of imagination. So I'm going to show you, and it's going to leave no doubt in your mind how powerful imagination is. So I'm going to get you to, if you're standing up, if you can stand up, if you're listening to me in your car, by all means, just focus on the road. But I want you to stand up. I'm going to point. I'm going to move this back a little bit here so I can show you actually what I'm demonstrating to do. So I want you to stand up. And I want you, with one arm, point your finger in front of you and begin to move your arm as far back as you can. So I noticed that my arm is about somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m. If it's your right arm, use your right arm. If it's your left arm, use your left arm. Notice where it is, and now return to the starting position. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a moment and just imagine. Imagine you moving your arm 25% further, just 25. Really see it in your mind for a moment. See that your arm is flexible like rubber. Feel how flexible your arm is. It's like rubber. And now I want you to command your arm, say it out loud or to yourself. Say, when I repeat this exercise, my arm going to move 25% further. Simply repeat this exercise. My arm is going to move 25% further when I repeat this exercise. Now I'm going to get you to open your eyes and repeat the procedure. And just notice how much further your arm will move. So now you could see the power of your mind, the power of your imagination, having pictured it already happening and have happened, how much further it went. So before my arm was about here somewhere, 4 or 5 o'clock. Now it's about almost 6 o'clock, 5:30. So you can keep repeating and repeating, and you'll see how that imagination becomes easier and maybe even further, right? And when you think about it, with athletes do this all the time. They do this technique, right? They if they haven't won a medal, they may borrow someone's medal, put it on them, get a picture taken, standing on the podium, actually feel what it would feel like, right, to get that medal. When before a 100-yard dash, they get into the blocks, right? And they picture themselves, shaking out, getting into the blocks. They can hear the gun go off, and then they see them get out of the blocks, and they see themselves winning. They keep visualizing it. Greg Louganis, all these athletes, divers, swimmers, runners, whoever they are, visualize. And you can use this technique. Why not use this technique to have more success in your business and in your personal life? It's really about imagining how you want your life to become. One of the things I remember a coach helped me with years ago is she got me to visualize and picture myself speaking in front of a stadium, for example, 10,000 people. And so I visualized that and pictured that for about a year. I did that, and I kept imagining what it would be like. I actually stepped into the feeling. I felt what it was like. I felt the applause and how energized and excited, and the joy and the happiness that it gave me. And in 2019, I did my first speaking engagement. It was at Mo Mondays. It was an inspirational talk. I think I had to speak for about 10 minutes. And the host came up afterwards, and he came to me and he goes, "Are you a professional speaker?" And I went, "I'm not a professional speaker." I said, I've facilitated groups, right? I've done a lot of training. So I've, in that respect. He goes, "You definitely came across as a professional speaker today. You did a great job." Now, to be honest with you, just a year before that, just thinking about standing up in front of the public and giving a speech was nerve-wracking. I would be paralyzed. I would go into that, fight flight mode. I was stressed, anxious, overwhelmed. My brain couldn't think. It went into a fog. I don't know what to do, say, blah, blah, blah. Now, with the help of taking a course with Linda Nichols and, of course, Odette Laurie, taking courses, a couple of other courses too with speakers, I learned and practiced. And of course, the visualization was the biggest, because when I stepped on that stage, it was like deja vu. It was like, it felt like I was already there, right? So it's because the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So my brain thought that, I'm a professional speaker. I've been here before. I've done it before. That's the power of imagination. So I restructured my brain. I restructured my identity. And so it was easy. And now even I really want people to really start imagining what they want their life to be. And that's what I did about 10 years ago. I started to picture my health. I was 80 pounds overweight. I was 80 pounds overweight, and I was just looking to see if there were any comments on the Facebook group. I can't see the comments. I was 80 pounds overweight, and I started to picture, that I wanted to be able to keep up with, if my kids got married and had grandkids, want to be able to keep up with the grandkids, right? Not be that grandmother who just shouts things from the couch, right? And be able to get on the floor with them. So that was, yeah. Anyways, sorry, I'm looking to see, my apologies if there are any messages. And there aren't. So before I turn on this perfect day visualization for you, it's about 8 minutes in length. I want you to copy this down, because this is what you could spend each and every morning, spend 5 minutes visualizing what it would be like to live the life that you love. Write that down. I choose the end result of living the life I love. I choose the end result of being a predominant creator in my life. I choose the end result of living a healthy, vital life. Maybe you choose the end result of living your true nature and purpose. Pick any one of those. And I call this your internal positioning system, because just like a GPS on a car where you put in your destination where you want to go and it tells you what route to take, these 4 core choices will help guide you how to set up your desired result, your true choice that you want. This is what is beyond goal setting that they don't teach you about goal setting. This gives you that guidance, that positioning system, internal IPS, not your GPS, your IPS, internal positioning system. And because when you start imagining, right, your brain, your subconscious, your superconscious, that sage within you, that inner wise warrior within you already knows. It's already been there. It already knows what is true to you. Have you ever had those flashes and those glimpses, right? Of what would be better, how you want your life to be? That's your soul. That's your higher power. That's your sage talking to you. I also call it the inner wise warrior talking to you. That's why I use that warrior thinking system that I talked about yesterday. So one way to access that internal positioning system is to think about those 4 core choices. They're the biggest core choices. And then, of course, underneath that, you're going to have true choices. And underneath that, you're going to even have more choices that you're going to go for that's going to give you more specific desired results that you want to achieve in a month, 6 months, or a year. But you need coaching on that and more information. All right. So what I want you to do now is grab some pen and paper, because after the video, I'm going to play my perfect day visualization video. I'm going to get you to jot down some notes. What came up for you? What else do you want you to do? And as you go about your day today, you may notice your thoughts coming up. Oh, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm never going to get that money. I'm too old to do that. My metabolism's shut. I've tried so many diets and exercises. When that thought pattern comes up, and go back and use the warrior and say, wait, what? Right? Interrupt that conversation going on in your head. Pay attention to your thinking. Observe it. Think of it. What's coming up for you? What are you reacting to? Was there a trigger? What triggered it? Was there something specific in your visualization that triggered it? What were you thinking? What are you feeling? The most important thing is, what are you feeling? What is your intention? If you recall, I used this for my planning to commit suicide 10 years ago. Like, what is my intention? My intention really to die? No. My intention was to end the pain. And my intention is not to leave my kids behind. That was my true intention. And to create a better life for them, right? So I observed that, is this how I'm creating that life? No. How do I want to create that life? And then reward yourself for saying, hey, I caught myself. I now understand what I'm doing. So after this, it's going to feel good to have this dream, these visions, this hope, but you may get resistant. You may get some internal conflict coming up. You may get, what's another word? Tension, right? Tension comes up. That's the resistance. So just notice it. Use the warrior system so that you can access what those actual thoughts and feelings are, because that's when you can start changing. But this is the first step to change, is start visualizing, because our brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. And just like athletes, it's going to create those synaptic connections already with what you want in your life and what you want to change. So that's the first step. But in order to remember, if you go back to the learning model, this is like number two, level two. But in order to get to conscious competent, you need to keep practicing this imagination. Maybe different things will come up different days, but also ask yourself at the end of the visualization, what is one thing, that baby step, that one step that I can take today to accomplish this vision, whether it's to creating the life that you love, whether it's being the predominant creator in your life, whether it's health and vitality, whether it's doing your true nature and purpose. Those are the four internal positioning systems that you have. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to get you. Oh, there's some comments I've missed. Hi. Hi, Helen. Now I got the comments. Sorry, guys. This is a new platform, and I'm not used to seeing them. I don't know how to get them up here, but that's okay. All right. So let me play this perfect day visualization for you. Here we go. I want you to take a moment and make sure you're sitting comfortably in your chair. Your feet are planted firmly on the ground. Close your eyes. Make sure your arms are stretched comfortably on your lap with your palms facing upward. And I want to invite you to relax and join me in taking a couple of deep breaths and really settling into your physical body. I invite you to take a nice deep inhale. I invite you to take a nice deep and a nice long exhale. Another inhale. And a relaxing exhale. And one more deep inhale. And a final relaxing exhale. And I want to invite you to allow whatever pictures, whatever images, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings that come to mind to just come to mind. Allow this movie of your perfect day to simply unfold. And I want to invite you to begin with your morning. I want you to imagine waking up in your perfect day. Imagine waking up energized and grateful to be able to start your day with a peace and calmness. You're going to start with a positive feeling that today is going to be even better than yesterday. And as you get up energized, you walk over to the window and you look out and you see the beauty of the sun and the world around you. You notice the trees and the flowers gently move with the light breeze. As the sun is shining through the window, you think to yourself, how grateful and happy you are for your incredible life. You can hardly believe it. As you put your hand over your heart and you feel so grateful, so happy, so excited about the incredible life you created. Acknowledge to yourself that this dream, this vision that you've had for your life has all come true.
You're waking up in your dream home. And as you walk through your home in this perfect day, there's no rush, there's no worry, there's no pressure, because you have become the person you were meant to be and the person you knew that someday you could be. Notice all the miracles around you, the miracle of your physical body as you go through your morning workout, and you've never felt stronger. You've never felt more energized and more alive. You feel absolutely unstoppable in your perfect day. And as you look in the mirror, you see who you've become. You see and acknowledge that you've made it. You are someone who people are proud of, someone who is a leader, someone that you are proud of. And as you see this new you staring back at you from the mirror, you can't help but smile because you know you've done it. And you start to think about this day and what you're going to do with it, what you're going to do to further your mission, your passion, and your purpose. What is it that you're going to be creating today, preparing for? Who is it that you're going to be helping? And how will you be contributing? Because in this day, your perfect day, you're unstoppable. I want you to imagine what you would do with all the resources, all of the time, all the people around you, supporting you in your contribution to the world. Yes, that's what you would do in your perfect day. This is the way that you would create an impact and love your life while you're making a difference in the world. Allow the images to come to you. All of the incredible people, all of the extraordinary places, all of the beauty, the abundance, the laughter, the joy of your perfect day. What does it look like? What would you do with that freedom and the resources, the support from people who are aligned with you? I invite you to take one more deep breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. As you open your eyes, I want you to take a moment to write down everything that you felt, everything that you saw, everything that you heard, everything that you experienced. Engage all of your senses in the experience to build strong neural pathways embedded in the image in your mind. The more you allow yourself to experience the deeper connections and instructions for your brain, the more likely it will happen. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Ask yourself these questions. What do I want to do today? How do I want to feel? How do I want to be? Now, I want you to take courageous action towards your goal.
All right, so there you have it. I'm just going to remove that screen there. Wonderful. So now you've had an opportunity to imagine the life you want to live, maybe health, whatever it is, and you've written it down. What is one thing that you can do today, one thing that you're going to love doing that's going to get you further and closer to that goal? So this is what I truly believe that is missing. So visualize this, use this tool, every day. And, just let your higher self, let your superconscious, let your sage self, whatever self you want to call it. Oh, if you are, because I saw my friend Carrie was here, if you're also maybe you read the Bible or you pray, whatever comes up for you after praying and says, do this today, do it. And it may feel uncomfortable. You may start, oh yeah, I'm going to. And then you want to go do it and you get pulled back and you feel the resistance and that tension or maybe some inner conflict. Just say, oh, there you are. Let it go and keep moving, because that's just your subconscious trying to keep you safe, right? That's just your subconscious is not used to that next step that you're going to do, or maybe you haven't done it often enough to really, really strengthen that neuro to strengthen that neuron connection that you've made just by visualizing. You've already created that. That's that first step, is creating that neural pathway. Now you've got to strengthen it, right? Move into level 3 of that learning model. Become conscious competent by practice, practice, practice. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed day 2. So these are the things that I want you to start doing. And then, of course, use the warrior method to any tension or resistance that might come up, so that you can start identifying anything that you've detached, dissociated yourself from, or use as a distraction to not feel the pain of the new step that you're taking. Anyways, that's your homework. Make sure you, once again, start, use what you learned yesterday, today, and then for at least the next 7 days, if you can use this tool, you'll start getting to that habit. Spend 5 minutes every morning just visualizing your day and ask, what is one thing I can do today? Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. You can send me a DM. And tomorrow we're going to move on to the third, the live it. How do we live it, and how do we apply it in the real world so that we become master and we can move to level 4 of our learning. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.